This lecture is about what I expect from your assignments. These are the factors I look for when grading your papers. The first thing I look for is, did the student follow instructions? Did they meet all requirements? So read and reread the assignment prompt. Make sure you understand what the assignment is asking for and that you have completely answered all parts and questions in the paper. For example, if the assignment asks you to write a rhetorical analysis essay, make sure you write a rhetorical analysis and not a critical analysis. If the assignment asks for visuals representing data to be included, make sure your paper has a visual. For better understanding of the assignment, read the posted lecture notes and provided web sources. Also check the posted sample assignments. Check the structure of your paper. Does your essay have a strong thesis statement? Your thesis statement should be clear and it should provide a roadmap for your essay. Thesis statement is a very specific statement. It should cover only what you want to discuss in your paper. Your paper should be coherent. It should be presented in a logical order that is easy to follow. Ideas should flow. There should be no choppiness. Add transitions. They enhance logical organization and understandability and improve the connections between thoughts. Add topic sentences. Each paragraph should have a topic sentence that reflects back on the thesis statement. Topic sentence should help guide what the paragraph will be about. Pay attention to other details like completeness. Be sure to express all thoughts and concepts completely. Provide all the information a reader will need to understand your point. Meet the requirements for the sources. If you have been asked to use UTSA database sources, make sure you do so. Do not use print sources. I want to access your sources, so use online database sources that I can reach. Provide the URL for all your sources. Use the required number of sources. Do not use less than what is required. On the other hand, you can use one or two sources more than the required number, but not twice the number. You do not want your voice to be suppressed by your source's voice, nor do you want to go beyond the assigned parameters. Make good use of evidence and sources. Your main point should be supported with adequate evidence coming from your sources. Do not use sources to state something that can be easily stated in your own words. Do not cite common knowledge factors either. Common knowledge is information that can be easily located in a number of sources and usually cannot be disputed. The right way to use sources is to have them converse with each other. Use one source to support or negate the other. Having a designated paragraph or two for each source shows weakness. Each paragraph should make a point, and that point should be supported with evidence and/or examples coming from your sources. Do not let your sources overpower your voice. There should be a balance. Don't just quote from your sources. Paraphrase and summarize as well. Using different writing techniques shows strength. Ideas should flow logically with transitions. Evidence should be incorporated smoothly into the flow of the writing. Format your paper in MLA style. MLA does not require a separate title page. The first page of your essay is your title page. All pages should have a 1-inch margin on all 4 sides. A running header and a complete title block should be added. Everything should be double-spaced. For details on how to create a running header or a title block, watch the MLA documentation video lecture. Intake citations and punctuation. Every time you use source material, whether you quote, paraphrase, or summarize, you have to give credit to your source. You can give credit to your source by adding parenthetical citations and by adding attributive tags. Attributive tags are used to explain the origin of and to give credit to the original source. They help separate your ideas from your source's ideas. More importantly, attributive tags add credibility to your work by providing your source's credentials. The more credible and scholarly your source is, the more trustworthy and strong your argument will be. For example, a phrase like, Dr. Smith from University of California, Berkeley states in his article, diet as a risk factor for cancer, that followed by the quoted material. Attributive tags build ethos for your paper. Parenthetical references help direct your reader to full bibliographic entries in a list of works cited at the end of the paper. Place a parenthetical reference as near the relevant material as possible without disturbing the flow of the sentence. Usually you provide the author's last name in the parenthetical citation. If a name is not available, then the title of the work is provided. Detailed explanation about attributive tags in parenthetical citations can be found in the MLA documentation lecture. Works cited page. Provide a complete and accurate MLA-style formatted works cited page. Everything should be double-spaced within entries, alphabetize the works cited list, indent the works cited entries one tab for every additional line after the first line. List only those sources that you actually used within your paper. Additional works cited details have been discussed in the MLA documentation lecture. Pay attention to punctuation marks. In MLA, it is very important to format everything correctly. Each comma and/or period matters. Closing quotation marks are placed before the parentheses and the period is placed after. For example, notice how the parenthetical citation is placed after the quotation, and the closing quotation marks are placed before the parentheses, while period is placed after. Be consistent. Remember to keep your language consistent throughout, particularly verb tense and voice. Don't change verb tense unnecessarily. Also, don't switch voice from first to second to third person. Academic writing prefers third person speech. In most cases, the verb should remain in the past tense and the voice should be impersonal. Tone and language. Use formal tone and good word choice. Avoid wordiness. Be specific and direct in your language. Don't fill up space with words that you think sound impressive or with repeated ideas. Avoid vagueness. Provide only the information that is essential to the topic. Avoid choppiness. Choppiness usually results from expressing each thought in a separate simple sentence. For instance, in this laboratory, 3 experiments were performed dealing with dynamic systems. There were various models used to describe the systems. These models were RC and RLC circuits, high-pass filters, and thermal systems. The student could have communicated the same information more economically by combining sentences. In this laboratory, 3 experiments dealing with dynamic systems were performed. RC and RLC circuits, high-pass filters, and thermal systems were the models used to describe these systems. Check grammar. Paper should have a correct grammatical structure and should be easy to understand. Avoid vague use of pronouns. First, use the noun before using the pronoun. Make sure it is clear which noun is the pronoun replacing. Check agreement problems. Problems with agreement generally fall in 2 categories: subject-verb agreement and noun-pronoun agreement. Students usually make errors when they are uncertain about whether the subject or noun is singular or plural. Make sure that you know what the subject of your sentence is and whether the subject is singular or plural. Then choose the appropriate singular or plural verb or pronoun. For example, a plot of results were obtained. Because the subject of this sentence is plot, a singular noun, the sentence should read, a plot of results was obtained. Avoid using first and second person pronouns. Write in an impersonal style. All personal pronouns I, you, we should be omitted. This will often mean using passive constructions in order to focus on the action that was done rather than on the person who did the action. For example, as you can see by the following data, the pronoun you should be removed altogether and the same sentence should be written as can be seen from the following data. Avoid questioning. Unless you are investigating something or interviewing someone, questioning should be avoided. Questioning weakens your work and makes it wordy. As a writer, your role is to provide information and answer, not ask questions. Instead of saying, "Do you know why writing is important?" It is important because it helps people express their ideas. Say, "Writing is an important skill that helps express ideas." The second statement sounds more accurate and professional. Additional rules. When abbreviating, spell out the term first, with the abbreviation following in parentheses. Then use the abbreviation every time thereafter. For example, as shown here, place abbreviation GRWA in parentheses followed by the term being abbreviated. Spell out numbers below 10 and use figures for numbers 10 and above. For example, the man has 5 children and 11 grandchildren. Spell check and proofread. Errors in spelling, punctuation, and simple grammar are unprofessional and seriously diminish the effectiveness of your work. Leave yourself enough time to review your work. Be sure to use a spell checker on the final version and then proofread it.